Yeah, hello and welcome everybody to this Friday's live stream. Everybody who can make it and who doesn't need to work or who can work from home. I'm always surprised how many people are actually listening into these. You know, when you would expect most people actually at work, but there you go. Today I don't know how many people are going to join because it's been really boring recently, really boring. But obviously we've been doing these CPI and core PCE live streams now for a while, and they've been very, very popular. So I hope you enjoy the live stream. Hope you can hear me. I think you can. Shouldn't be a problem. And yeah, by all means, I will try to answer your questions. Can't promise to read them all because it's Sam is driving to work. That's great. Working from home. Well, you should be working. Shouldn't listening to. Anyway. Best way to spend your time is to listen to a more crypto online live stream, right? I'm at work. That's ridiculous. Okay, good. Anyway, it's core PCE data time today. I'm not sure how much volatility we get, but typically we do get a fair amount when you have these days and when we have inflation data released. Obviously, core PCE, for everybody who's not so much aware of it, and while people are joining, and by the way, please hit the like button. It will help to bring out the or to suggest the stream to more people. So that would really help. Maybe also leave a comment. I'm not sure if those comments help in the live stream, but that would certainly help as well. But certainly hitting the like button would be fantastic. It would really help. But yeah, core PCE, the Feds. It's published by the Bureau of Economic Analysis apparently, and it's the Fed's favorite inflation data metric or measure, and it's usually released after CPI. So CPI obviously was released a couple of weeks ago, and that came in a little bit hotter than expected, a little bit higher. It didn't lead to massive amounts of volatility. It was a bit of a non-event. Remember that we made a live stream there as well. So I'm not sure how much we see today. Sometimes you don't see much until really the stock market has opened, right? Obviously there is pre-market data, but typically until 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, which is basically 1.5 hours from now, you don't really see too much. So some people choose not to trade at all on these days, which is fair, fine. But everybody needs to make that decision, obviously, for their own. Now, what can we expect today? So the forecast for PCE, which is obviously one of the key inflation measures, is actually 4.4%. Now that's year over year. We also have the month over month measure. I actually didn't open that. I will open that now on the 1 second. So let me just open that as well, because that's often what's a little bit more relevant, what everybody's looking out for. There you go. I'm gonna move that on this screen as well. So that's month over month. It's 0.4% is the forecast here today. It has gone up from December to January already, from 0.2 to 0.3%, and it's expected to go up again to 0.4%. So you can see inflation is running a little bit hotter. It's not really coming down as much, and therefore we've recently seen several banks and analysts basically suggest that the Fed might increase interest rates a little bit longer, which is something we need to be preparing for. I think until very recently, a lot of people and institutions and banks and analysts expected that the Fed will only increase the interest rates 2 more times, basically in the next meeting and the one after that. But now voices are getting stronger that believe that the Fed will add 1 or 2 months to that, or even go back to 50 basis points at some point. Now, I'm not sure if they do 50 basis points, but they might just increase them 1 or 2 more months than originally planned if inflation is running a little bit hotter than anticipated. Now, again, we need to be watching today for that forecast. It is the actual number that's going to be released in round about 25 minutes. Is it going to be higher, lower than forecast, or as forecasted? If it's as forecast, if it comes in as 0.4%, to be honest, I don't see that too much volatility is necessarily expected. Typically it will probably then be a non-event, because it's coming in as expected. It's most likely priced in. If the forecast is 0.5% or higher, we'll probably see a bit of a bearish reaction in the crypto market. And if it's lower, so 0.3%, which I don't necessarily assume, but it could be, but I don't assume it because CPI was quite high already. If it's a bit lower, we see probably a bullish reaction. So let's see. Normally these figures don't really change the overall underlying trend, which is still up for the crypto market at the moment. But they can lead to short-term volatility. And depending on how far it deviates from the forecast, you have quite a lot of volatility. And then we usually need to wait until the dust settles. So we're going to take a look at that around 1:30 UK time here, 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, when which number appears here. If you have a ticker which gives you that number earlier, please put it in the chat. But we're going to take a look. And then year-over-year data, it's expected the forecast is 4.3%. Yeah, so let's see what that does. But for core PCE, usually they typically seems to be a stronger focus on month over month. We'll see. Now, from a technical analysis point of view, there isn't too much more to add. So what I'll probably do, I'm gonna have a look if you have any sort of questions, because I made a Bitcoin video today, I made an Ethereum video today. I would just repeat myself. Basically expected from here or from this support area down here higher still, yeah, for Bitcoin. And only if we drop below 22,200 roughly, then we have to face a much stronger decline in the crypto market. We'll see. I mean, we have to be ready for anything. The market is just moving sideways. The market hasn't made up its mind yet, very clearly. That's why we've been in this range for a couple of weeks now, nearly a couple of weeks. And because the market hasn't made up its mind, also I can't tell you with certainty what's happening. The overall trend is up, which is why I expect further upside. But here for the last couple of weeks, it's just been moving sideways. Yeah, I don't need a schnitzel. Thank you very much, Anna. Then I'm all right. So yeah, let me see if there are any sort of questions in the chat. We don't have too many people in the stream, so I'm happy to. I might actually be able to answer a few. But yeah, please still hit the like button. It would really help the stream. And okay, so let's see what you guys are saying. And again, welcome everybody to the stream who's just been joining. Any questions, please put them in the chat. I can't promise I answer them all. I'll reply to them all because it sometimes is a bit overwhelming. But okay, so yeah, why not? Good health to you. Thank you, Florian. Gold down, Anna. Yeah, could be. I haven't actually checked it for a couple of days. Who's actually at work? I mean, maybe you can put that in the chat. I'd be very interested to hear who's actually at work. I mean, I'm actually at work, but I'm actually doing this for work. So, but who's actually at work? Who shouldn't be listening but is listening? Okay, Anna is shorting the ducks. Okay, hopefully successful. They like welcome from hello to the Seychelles. Romania, okay. So Lucio asked for a Dogecoin update. Yeah, I can do that. I won't be able to look at coins that I've never looked at before because it would just be pointless because you need to do proper analysis. But though I can just give updates to the coins, obviously I normally look at. So I think it's currently following the plan, Doge. A bit undecided as well, but I think here we're on the roadmap. We've got on the roadmap this ABC correction. I wouldn't be surprised if it hits that 7.3 to 7.9 cent area and then ideally turns around. In the very worst case, it could come down a bit lower, hit the channel support, but then it will come down very low to make this still a valid 1-2 setup. Ideally, we have here an A wave, a B wave, and come down in C, and from there move up. Sometimes you get it that they actually touch the channel support, but then you're basically in the region of the previous low, which means a very strong retracement, which makes this setup then much less reliable. So ideally it doesn't break below the 7.3 cent level. For now, I see no reason to change the forecast. The forecast can of course change if we break out of the channel earlier than expected and rally to the upside and break above the B wave high at 9.2 cents. I think then we have to say that we either get a higher B wave, which is also a possibility. Wouldn't be surprised if we do that. We've got a few coins that could do that, but this one here is caught nicely in the channel actually and adhering to it. But if it does that, we could get a higher B wave, maybe even around the 10-cent area, which will also be resistance, and then come down. Or it's actually already in the third wave. But for now, the short-term trend is down here, and I'm watching if we can get into this turning point area between 7.3 and 7.9 cents. Trading is our work, exactly. Someone's retired. Oh, David, okay. Someone's on vacation. Starting work late because of the weather. Yeah, it's horrible. In the UK, it's just raining. I mean, Kyle, Floki is not really a coin I would normally look at, but I have never looked at it. But let's see if other channel members request it, we might be able to prioritize it. But yeah, it's not really my focus normally. I tend to Cypress asked if I trade with leverage. Typically not too much, but I've been trading for over a decade, so I don't need the leverage really, because I've built a portfolio. And the more I trade, the longer I've been trading, and I know a lot of other, let's say, traders who've been trading many years, and the longer they've been trading, the less leverage they've been using, and the smaller their position sizes. Yeah, because I don't see the point of leverage. I really don't see the point. The only reason to use leverage is either to have less money on the exchange, so you reduce your risk, and then you borrow the exchange's money. But if you use leverage, you should still measure the position size adequately so that you don't risk more than 1 to 3% of your portfolio in a single trade. And if you use leverage, most people do it to trade with money they don't have, and then they risk too much, and then they burn their portfolio. So I don't really see the point of using leverage, because if you don't have the money, you shouldn't trade with that money, and if you have it, then you can use it. So I don't see the point with leverage. Don't see it. It's risky. Yeah, I just don't sometimes, but it's more spontaneous decision than maybe when I don't want to move funds around and I just borrow some of the exchange for a quick trade or whatever, but typically not. Yeah, again, the longer I've been trading, the less leverage I've been using. Zar Capitals asked, what's my opinion on Blur? So I can't really tell anything about the wave count or structure, but it's an interesting project. So Blur, it's something interesting. I can only, we discussed it in the channel membership yesterday in detail, in a little bit more detail. But it's a bit of a gamble, Blur. For everybody who doesn't know what Blur is, it's a NFT exchange. I watched a few videos. It's getting hyped a little bit. And sometimes you just need to go with a narrative a little bit. Now, not advertising this. This is highly speculative, but it's an interesting one. Apparently, it's they are apparently the fastest NFT marketplace. Now, I'm not sure if that's true, but it's growing. It's getting hyped on YouTube, and sometimes it's sometimes you just need to go with the flow. But that's an interesting one. Blur, I've looked at, but it's not really more than a gamble, to be honest, at this stage. So to be honest, I'm just going randomly here sort of through the questions, because I will have to skip some as well. So Chris, where is channel membership? So I assume you joined, as it seems. So reach out to support@morecryptoonline.com if you missed the join instructions, how to get to Telegram and Discord. Yeah, it's the email address support@morecryptoonline.com, or just send a contact form on the website if you missed out on the join instructions. Yeah. Emmanuel asked, what other AI coins are you holding aside from Edgix? I hold Edgix, SDAO, and VXV. Now I need to think, is it Edgix, SDAO, VXV? There was one more, VAI. And they've all gone up since I bought. Now they've come down as well, but they are still all in profit, and I took some profits along the way. But it was from the beginning more of a long-term one, because I want to, sort of be in there if the next bull run really starts. And maybe if they come down a little bit lower, which they could still do, then I will, scale up a little bit. Michael, which platform you buy Bitcoin because of lowest fees? So I think fees are fairly good on Kucoin, on Bybit. They are the ones that I normally use. Other ones are Bitget, have low fees. Binance has low fees. What I certainly wouldn't use is sort of the simple Coinbase or some of these, let's say, less popular exchanges. Sometimes you have Coinbase, if you don't have Coinbase Pro or Advanced, I think they charge you a 1% fee, which is ridiculous. So be aware, on let's say Bybit or so, you get 0.1%, which is decent, or you can even reduce it if you trade with their own coin. But they are sort of like, choose a like a let's call it a professional exchange, or one with a professional trading desk. Then you have lower fees, but 0.1% is all right. We can reduce that further if you want to. Yeah, Greg said, love your trading playlist music you posted. Yeah, but I have got more plans, so it's sort of a bit of a fun side project. Yeah, so by all means, check out the trading playlist music that we've got posted. There's more coming with a few cool layouts as well. Sort of a bit of a side project. Dominic asked for AppDOS. Let's have a look. Don't think there's really any significant change. I think this is sort of still holding. Yeah, it's still holding support at the moment. I'd be due to how far it came down, be more inclined to say I would expect it to get into this support region down here. So we talk here about 1180 or lower, unless it can really rally impulsively now. But the thing is, it has pulled back. This is a possible 1-2 setup. We moved up in wave 1 and impulse, came down in wave 2, but it pulled back to the 88.7% FIB level. Now, the 1-2 setup, which could set it up for higher, is not invalidated, okay? This would only get invalidated if it breaks below the beginning of the wave 1, which is at 1235. However, I don't trust any setup if the price retraced more than 78.6%. Well, yeah, the 78.6 retracement of the wave 1, okay? So that makes it unreliable, and then typically these setups will fail eventually, and I wouldn't be surprised if it eventually gets into this area. It's also creating some kind of a head and shoulders pattern here, bit of an ugly one, but the neckline is that basically 1250 level, I would say, or 1280, yeah, sort of in that region. And if it breaks below that, it will send it straight into the support area. So this is where I'm not doing anything because I've got my gridbot running, which will eat it up either way. Don't have a problem if the gridbot is at a loss briefly, as long as it turns around here. I will switch the gridbot off though if it really drops below $6.50 roughly, below the box, because then this entire setup will probably fail. But I've got the gridbot running because first of all, on the way down, it softens the blow, and it will take it up either way, because there was a bit of uncertainty. Do we go up from here already, or do we go down lower and then up from there? So at the moment, it seems rather like we're going to head down lower, and this was maybe an A wave. This is a B wave like many other coins are doing. And there could be a C wave down. So that's sort of still, that would be my preferred option actually, that the wave 2 is going to end down, down here actually. So, but we need to keep an eye on that possible 1-2 setup here, but at the moment it's become unreliable. Okay, so I would just have to skip some questions. Sorry, does Sol have any short potential? Possibly Silencio, but I can only refer to my video. I posted one, I think, an hour ago. And by the way, it's 12 more minutes until core PCE. I don't necessarily expect too much movement, but the thing is, we're heading really into the apex of this triangle here on BTC. This doesn't look good, by the way. I did highlight that in the previous video. We've got a possible 1-2 setup for Bitcoin, but this triangle is not convincing, and it rather points towards downside. But either way, we don't really know. The market is still, triangles mean market hasn't decided. We need to wait which direction does the triangle break. And if it breaks down, and then even takes out the last swing lows here, then it's probably heading into this support area, and we have these FIB levels as key support for a possible turning point. And that also should answer they like Greg's question. You asked if there's a great entry for ETH. Yeah, I guess if we see a bit of a drop today and then maybe a reaction to the upside, I've got that highlighted on the ETH chart as well. The Spaghetti Breadman, welcome to Gold membership. Thank you very much for your support. By the way, all reach out by email, please, if you missed the join instructions to Telegram and Discord. Polkadot, a few people asked for Polkadot just now. But while Bitcoin isn't really moving. So also at the moment, following the plan from the last video, the way it's going, I'm preferring that it actually topped here. That this larger wave 1 actually topped the wave that started end of December, topped in a 5-wave move here at $7.90. It's coming down here, in my opinion, in an ABC correction. This will remain my view as long as we stay below 790. Above that, I will have to change the forecast. But below 790, this is the roadmap. And I would think that we get, first of all, and again, this is not going to happen in a straight line, yeah? Or maybe it is, but probably not. So we're probably coming down here to the 38.2 fib level. I would expect some kind of a reaction here. Then we might get a B wave and then the C wave down. And this will be an interesting one here. This area between $5 and 607. If we get into this area, that might be, this is the wave 2. Oops, that looks strange. This is the wave 2 that basically belongs to this wave 1. But if you look at how long it took, time-wise, for this wave 1 to play out, I don't expect this to happen overnight. Yeah, I mean, I would be looking at middle of March, certainly, until this wave 2 is over. Now, I could be wrong, but in all likelihood, if wave 1 took, 1.5 months, you won't see a wave 2 complete normally in a week. It would be extremely unusual. So it would be more something like that. Be prepared for the choppy movement of that B wave, if that's the right forecast. But you don't typically expect it to all happen in a week or so. So it looks like we've just entered a territory where we can prepare for a bit of a correction. But again, above 790, I have to revise the forecast, but that's sort of how it looks, with an initial reaction probably to 650 and then further down eventually. But yeah, time-wise, I mean, expect it to drag out a bit. Someone asked about Memak. I don't know. Memak is not a coin I've ever heard about or could tell you anything about, really. Vechain. Question about Vechain there. And by the way, Bitcoin isn't doing much, so I'm just not really looking at the chart. In 10 minutes, we've got... No, it's not. In 8 minutes, we will have core PCE data released. Yeah, Vechain also here, it's reacted basically to that target range based on fib targets. Yeah, so we talked about this could be over. Watch the trend line. Trend line broke quite impulsively, and it's an early indication that we're heading down in a wave 2. If this gets clearer, yeah, I mean, this could still be in the wave 1 theoretically, but I would rather say now this is over and we're heading down in a wave 2. If we do that and it becomes clearer, I will add some kind of a support area here. But normally you would expect the wave 2 to find support in the region of the previous wave 4 low. That would be around 2.2 cents here, maybe a little higher. We'll see. But also here, time-wise, you would normally expect it. You would normally expect it to drag out a bit as well, maybe end of March. Yeah, if this is the wave 2 correction, because you can't expect, you know, if it rallied for 1.5 months, that a week of correction will be sufficient to complete this correction. So we'll probably get an A, B, C as well. Yeah, similar to many other coins. Some have done this already, and some are doing this right now. But you would normally get something like this, A, B, C. Yeah. And the B wave is normally what takes time, and which is confusing and choppy, and you know. So that's sort of That's sort of what and then I'd be watching here probably the area around the A wave low, which is most likely going to be around the 38.2 fib level. Which is probably going to be around 2.58 cents. Yeah, so you often get an A wave to hit that level, then a B wave, and then the C wave down. Yeah. So that's sort of what I'd be looking out for. But it's not enough price information really to give a high confidence view here. But yeah, certainly. I mean, this could have been a wave, maybe a wave 1 of the A wave. Yeah, we're now pulling back in a wave 2, a nice 3-wave move, and could then head down lower. Now, if that's the case, actually, it might actually come down a bit lower than the 38.2 fib level. We'll see. Maybe here to 2.38, which is the 50% fib level. So a few people asked optimism, and by the way, 5 more minutes. And for everybody who's joined, what are we looking actually out for core PCE, because only 5 more minutes. So we look for month over month core PCE forecast 0.4%. Going above that, if it's higher than that, you would expect a decline in the crypto market, in my opinion, normally. And you would expect a, if it's below that, you would expect sort of a bullish reaction. That's what we need to look out for. And the year over year, you would look at 4.3% as the forecast. Again, if it's above that, you would expect rather bearish reaction in crypto. If it's below that, rather bullish, but expect it all just to be noise today. Yeah, typically it wouldn't change the underlying trend. So, but still, it's something a lot of people watch out for. And I might just leave it on the Bitcoin chart. So Vladimir, thank you very much for that, Vladimir. You asked, yeah, I saw your comment. I think it was a comment on email. You said, yeah, you noticed XRP is 41 days behind ETH in major swings. I don't know if that makes sense, to be honest. I can only say that the XRP chart is just moving sideways. It's just moving sideways. I mean, it could be it's behind, but I wouldn't say it's a rule. If it is, it might just be coincidence. So XRP is obviously, it's been moving sideways basically for a long time. So you can zoom out a little bit more. Yeah, this is it's not a great chart. It's just been moving sideways, and I wouldn't necessarily say so. I mean, you had maybe you talk about this swing here, which then happened in September. I think Ethereum was much earlier. I mean, I could add, but I don't. You know, it's not a rule. It's so if you look at this one here, the orange is obviously the ETH chart. And yeah, I mean, ETH rallied back in August. Now, XRP did as well, but just much weaker. Now, you could say, okay, we had a rally here in XRP, which was sort of later than what Ethereum did, which is true. But then they are still moving together. Also here, XRP rallied. XRP did rally a bit, but just much weaker. I don't think it's necessarily timing. Especially here, historically it's all been aligned, as you can see. Yeah, it's all been aligned very much. It's just that recently maybe you have a bit of an offset, but is it really an offset, or isn't XRP just much weaker? I think they still had some correlations if you look at the charts, and I'm not sure if you see anything if I zoom in. It's a bit odd always with that adjustment there, but if you see that you still have correlations. I mean, it dropped when it dropped, moved sideways, it increased together. I think you have a lot of correlation there. It's just that maybe that one swing was a bit here, you know, time-wise. But other than that, if I zoom out a little bit, I just hate that when you... It's sort of always been very close together. I think you had peaks where ETH had peaks, XRP had peaks. Just XRP's performance is just not very good, unfortunately, which might be related to that SEC case. Or just weakness in the chart. Okay, guys, 1 minute. I think PCE is 4.3%. Someone said that already. Let me just check. So it's not updated on investing.com. Let's see. Do you have any? If you have any updated data, let me know. So forecast still 4.3%. It's also not yet 130, so I'm not sure. All these ads always. It's just. So we're just gonna wait here until we get the figure, which should come out in a minute or so. And then Bitcoin not doing much yet. But honestly, it could go both ways from here. It could be, but expect volatilities to start basically now. And don't take it all too seriously. This is really just short-term volatility, which we're seeing now. If anything happens, if it's as expected, I wouldn't. It will be a bit of a non-event, and then will be interesting what the US stock market does. So 4.3% would be as expected, basically. So you wouldn't necessarily expect too much volatility based on that. And month over month should be 0.4%, but it hasn't updated here on investing.com. Normally they're quite fast. Guys, if you have the figures a little bit earlier, let me know. It's currently going down a bit. Volatility seems to start, but 0.6%. See, it's rubbish, this website. Doesn't even, but apparently 0.6. Wow. So yeah, we probably see a bit of a reaction. Yeah, okay, it's updated now. 0.6. So actual, it's higher, hotter inflation. Yeah, that's what we talked about. Inflation is getting a bit hotter this year. We saw it already when we looked at CPI. Now it hasn't updated the annual one, but 0.6. So let's see. Normally you should see a bit of a bearish reaction. Let's see. Bit of a non-event. It should start. It should be something to the downside. I would be surprised if not. Maybe it was all priced in already. 0.6% is way higher than forecasted. So the forecast was 0.4. Now that's where we see some downside now. Then it will be interesting, how does actually the US stock market react to it. So if this is going to be now a bit of a downside move, so we will get support for Bitcoin in this region here between 22.18 and 23.3K. And yeah, it's you know, across the market, I mean, we had some good pullback areas defined the last few days, and let's see which coins actually get into them, right? Here Aptos just only talked about it. It's actually not very convincing, so it's also showing some downside now, but overall the market is still not doing too much. Let me actually add open Ethereum as well. Yeah, ETH is getting a bit of a hit. So that count from the previous video seems to be working out at the moment. I think I moved the box, didn't I? Let me just. Nah, I think it's all right. Yeah, so here, possible turning point here for ETH between 16.15 and 16.29, but it's not a high probability one, so it could also go below that. If it does that, then it may hit here this area between 15.72 and 15.25 and turn around there. But this is the more relevant support, the larger support. This is more on a micro level here. But Bitcoin is still holding quite well. Now, what's interesting is, for this possible 1-2 setup, Ethereum has much more space to the downside. For Bitcoin, it would break the pattern if it breaks much lower. So it makes sense that ETH can come down a bit lower. Maybe it will turn around when it touches the 1630 level, so 61.8 retracement, or 1616. So yeah, it's out for everybody who's just joined. PCE is out, and it came in slightly higher than expected. So that's why we see a bit of downside at the moment with Ethereum and some coins. Not too much on Bitcoin. So core PCE month over month came in 0.6%. You can see that here, which is normally good for the DXY. So I need to double check the DXY. That did actually rally a little bit earlier today already. And 4.7%, that is actually quite high on core PCE. Now that's 4.7 versus 4.3% forecast is actually quite high. Now if we look at the DXY, is rallying, yeah. And next target for the DXY I had here for the wave 5 as 105.77. Should see some kind of a reaction up there. But this is also probably putting a 5th wave extension in the DXY, which conversely leads to a bit of a sell-off in crypto at the moment. Now Bitcoin has also realized that it's slightly bearish. And that could open the point, you know, that could now open the space for some entry points, you know. So ETH is now heading into this support area. Let's see if it actually touches that and if it will be turning there. But trading on days like these is always a little bit unreliable, yeah. Because you need, don't take, this is short-term volatility, but don't take it too seriously. So the market is just pricing in the latest data. So here I'm just watching if ETH is going to get some reversal there at these support areas there. Here between 1629 and 1615, it should make it there. ADA is going to be interesting because for ADA, this is, if it makes a new low ADA, then it has a chance, there will be strong support around that 37 cent level, 37 to 37.5 cents for a possible turnaround, yeah. And BTC is actually holding quite well at the moment. So BTC has some support here around the trend line, around 23.6 cents, K, not cents would be nice, or not nice, K. And if it drops below that, here we've got this support area between 23.3 and 22,200. So the thing is, if we now see some movement, guys, it might actually lead to some nice upside on the weekend, yeah. I'm glad to see some movement either way, but you know, if you zoom out, this is really not doing much at the moment. It's just sort of still in the range overall. Bitcoin as well. But yeah, it seems like it's going to get to the support area highlighted here in the video earlier. And if we turn around, would be fantastic. Now again, if we break it, we'll probably have a good chance to turn around then eventually in this area. That would be quite a substantial drop though, of around 4.5%. Bitcoin's not doing much. ADA is also, yeah, a bit of a, you know, just nothing substantial. I don't know if there are certain coins that react very strongly at the moment. Not here in my sort of watch list. So Litecoin. So people asked about Litecoin. Yeah, Litecoin is unchanged. I mean, this is in a range. I did enter here a few days ago somewhere. I did close the trade yesterday at slight profit because it was just not getting off the ground. This is still possible 1-2 setup down there, but it's questionable. Yeah, so go to the 1 hour chart. This could still be a 1-2. Maybe this is the first 1-2 setup of the third wave. Absolutely possible. With Litecoin, what you can do, draw yourself a parallel channel and see if it finds some support here at $92. If not, then we will retest most likely 88. Okay, but there is some chance for finding support there. So I'm quite happy that I got out of the trade yesterday because it was just not, it wasn't working out as expected. So my ADA one got stopped out at break even earlier today, so I'm probably going to re-enter later. Let's see what it does. It's a bit unpredictable at this stage. Bitcoin is now coming down and might actually hit the way this looks now. It might actually hit, first of all, the channel support line and then possibly really comes into this larger support area. If it does, you know, if Bitcoin and Ethereum come into these larger areas, I'll probably look for a possible long trade there in these areas. But always bear in mind when everybody is saying it's bearish, then often it's when it's turning around again. Someone asked about optimism. Yeah, I mean, optimism is sort of unchanged from my last updates. I'm not sure if you're Cool Guy is a channel member, but I do update that regularly for gold members on the Signals channel. This possibly put in a 1-2 setup for the Wave 5. So yeah, it's sort of currently on track doing that. It's actually quite an interesting one, optimism. And it still has some way to go as long as it's holding the 234 level. Yeah, it's also not really affected by today's negative news. Interesting. Often shows that these events don't really change the trend. You could even argue you have a bit of an inverse head and shoulders here, which can be a trend continuation pattern, to be honest, to the upside. But yeah, I still have my trade open that I entered at 125. I took a smaller position here again, which has been stopped out at break even, but I still have my 125 position open, and I will leave it open. Yeah. So that's where we are with optimism. Yeah, this can still push higher. Next targets are sort of 367 and then 465, which is sort of an extended target. Not sure if we actually get there. And that answers Anto's question, I think, as well. You just asked about optimism as well. It's quite interesting, though, that we have coins in this bear market that make new all-time highs, isn't it? So Edward Way asked, how do you expect alts to behave now that Bitcoin is dropping? See, it's every coin is different. You can't say it. There are correlations, but it's so different for each coin. Optimism is not affected. Coins that started their downtrend, like Vechain, are probably gonna accelerating the move down. But I mean, Bitcoin is still above support, and they haven't really broken key support. Also, Ethereum hasn't. I think they're waiting now how the stock market is starting into the day. Mitilesh, is it Mitilesh? Hope so. Sorry. After Solana, well, I made a Solana update earlier. I don't think I can add anything really. Let's have a quick look. Thank you very much. Tudor upgraded to gold. Fantastic. Thank you very much for the support. By the way, if anybody's interested in the channel membership, feel free to check it out. Yeah, doesn't cost much, but I hope we create a lot of additional value. It's a great community as well. And for all channel members who are here today, thanks so much for your support. It's fantastic, this community. Yeah, it just lost the triangle here. Yeah. The view is, and has been also in the last video, that there's a good chance we come down lower. We reacted here to the resistance area, and at the moment it's a bit in no man's land. Support areas sort of locally are here $22 and 1974, and taking each of them out will send it lower into this larger support area down here, which will be a great long-term entry point. Now there will be entries along the way, but this is currently looking like it's coming down in a C wave. Now that view has to be revised, I think, or at least has to be looked at again, reviewed, if it breaks above 2430, because this was a very, very important resistance and support level. 2430, we broke below that, retested it actually from below, and we're now heading down lower. So at the moment, the trend here short term is down in an overall medium term uptrend, in I would say a long-term downtrend. Because we still are in the bear market. Yeah, it has not, at least not been confirmed that the bear market is over. So for me, it's like this will probably still head down lower, but we need to look at it again if it breaks above 2430. Until then, the trend for me is down here short term. Okay, guys, I think I do have to. I still have some coffee, so I can carry on a little bit, but then I have to close it at some point. I've got some stuff to do today. Adam, I made a gala video earlier today. I think there is no change either. Yeah. It's just sitting above support. Yeah, and if it holds it here, and this is actually a really good reward to risk ratio. Now, this is not the highest probability trade, yeah, going long from here, but it's a support area. It's pulled back massively into support. It's just sitting very tight above support. So if it breaks below that 78.6 retracement at 4.3 cents, it's probably dropping quite a bit lower, maybe to 4 cents and then even lower. But as long as it's holding that, but again, bear in mind, there is no trend reversal signal at this stage. But here, the actual risk in terms of where you set your stop loss and the actual reward, because it could take it into the resistance area up here, it's actually quite a decent reward to risk ratio. Now I've highlighted this in orange because it's not the highest probability trade. Yeah, it's actually I'm quite unsure if it actually is going to hold this support, but still it's a possible turning point here. By the way, for everybody, we are doing that now. We're changing the colors of the boxes on the chart as per like the risk level. And orange means sort of highest risk, red is resistance, and then I will have yellow for lower risk and green for actually, let's say, a high probability trade. And I think that gives everybody a bit like a traffic light system, but I want to keep red for resistances. So, but yeah, here this could certainly turn around here, but of course nothing's guaranteed, and this is a higher risk one, it's a lower probability one. Because it already reacted to that level, but has basically retraced it all again. That makes it lower probability. But yeah, you know. But that's Scala. Scala also this same situation, like for example Solana, where we say, okay, possibly, or like ADA, possibly all of this is just an ABC pattern, which could eventually still come down, or it breaks down directly from here. But then this is really the defining level, make or break point, you could call it. Gala. So Storm M asks, what altcoin do you recommend to enter in pullbacks? So I can't really recommend anything. So I've got obviously the turning points on the on the charts, but eventually everybody needs to, everybody's got a different risk level. And some people like to have more Bitcoin, Ethereum in the portfolio. Some people don't like any altcoins. At the moment, altcoin wise, I mean, to be honest, I'm mainly looking at Ethereum at the moment. And then I think ADA is fairly reliable at the moment. At the moment, at least, yeah, it's got this pullback area here, ADA. But yeah, that changes. That there's no general rule which coin. There are always new possible turning points and opportunities. We had a few days ago, we had Link. I think that worked out nicely. For example, there's always different one. It's a fast moving market. So Link, Link's turning point worked out fantastically. I think with Link, when it comes down again, this could be another turning point here. So yeah, you need to take it chart by chart. There is no I would just be careful with altcoins long term generally, because you don't know which one is actually going to make it long term. It's just sort of they are just risky. Yeah. Leon asked about what's your opinion on forex and analyzing it with Elliott Wave. It's a bit different. It's a bit less volatile, and it's you need to change a few things with your Elliott Wave analysis if you look at forex. But forex works well Elliott Wave wise. It's just that you need to be the different FIB levels are a bit different, because every market is a little bit different. Yeah, for example, commodities like to have extended wave fives, whereas crypto likes extended third wave. So there's a few things that are different. So you need to know the market you're looking at, but the principles are still very much applicable to forex and basically most other markets as well. You can even analyze them. Apparently, you can even analyze the price of cattle with Elliott Waves, yeah, or property possibly, yeah. But that's not my expertise really. Yeah, Matic. I mean, a few people asked Matic. This is it's a chop. It's not a reliable chart. I did say that before. It's just an absolute mess. And this has now cut into wave 1 price region, which makes it even less reliable. So yeah, I need to look at this really in detail. We'll do a video later, but this is clearly coming down lower than a wave 4 should. Now it can still be a wave 4, but then it will be a diagonal pattern here to the upside, an ending diagonal. Absolute messy. Now you can try to draw a trend line here, see if it does react in any way to it, or possibly, let's see if this would work out as a, possibly that would be the first one to maybe hit support here. The thing is, in diagonals, you have to use more like channels and trend lines than fib levels. Now that it broke this support for wave 4, I mean, 123 is the key support now. If it drops, so it will come down to 130 now, most likely. See if it reacts to that. But then it's the whole thing is just getting more unreliable with that deep pullback, because it's the diagonal pattern then. If it's not something much more bearish, but if it holds 123, I would still allow it sort of to go higher in a fifth wave, but in a much less reliable way. And yeah, below 123, it will probably come down sort of into the, maybe back into the $1 region. But I will have a look at it a little later and do a specific video on Matic. Besides that, not too much is happening, I think, yeah. So a small reaction to the downside. We need to see what the stock market does when it opens. The thing is, they're all just continuing with their trend, as it seems, yeah. And the situation with Bitcoin, Ethereum, that they haven't sold out massively immediately, is actually confirming my view that we could still see some upside from here overall, yeah. I mean, this is really, if you zoom out, this is nothing what we've seen today, 1%, compared to what happened here before, yeah. We're just in a range still overall, yeah. And as long as we're holding here for ETH 1525, this could then still be a wave 2 and rally in a third wave. Okay, guys, I'll probably have to close the live stream now. I thought I couldn't answer all questions, but I've got some stuff to do now. So close the live stream. Hope it was useful. Hope it added some value. Thanks for everybody who joined the channel membership in the live stream. Thanks for everybody who's been here. And hope you enjoy your day, and hopefully it will be an interesting weekend. And what else? I don't know. I'll update with more videos later anyway. So thanks a lot, and thanks all for joining, and have a great day. Bye-bye.